Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where it is time for Volume 3 of This or That, a series that I think has taken off pretty well. You guys seem to really be enjoying it, so I will keep bringing it to you as long as I can have some nice, fun pairings of knives that I think make a good pair to choose between. So if you haven't seen a pair that you would like to see, drop those in the comments, and I'll do my best to put some together to make future episodes. As of right now, this third volume is the last one that I stood up on my own. Before I get into this list, I do want to let you guys know that I am recording this post-Indy 500, and my voice is kind of shot right now. It may not sound too bad right now, but as we get going and get talking, I may be coughing, my voice may be cracking because I did a lot of yelling because it was one epic Indianapolis 500. We won't get into that, but yes, it was fantastic. Now, let's get into this list and let's start picking some knives. And first, we will start off with a couple big boys in the Kaiser Sheepdog XL. Now, we are specifically talking about the budget version here with the micarta. And we also have the Vosted Gator. Now, we'll start off here with the Kaiser Sheepdog XL. You guys all know these are both two very big knives, and two knives that both come in under $100. One is significantly less than the other. I don't know the prices right off the top of my head, but I will, of course, have everything linked below for you guys to check the prices below. I want to say this one's coming in at $90, and this one, I believe, is $69. So, pretty big difference there. Pretty big difference when you're getting rather similar materials, but of course, two very different designs. Now, the Sheepdog XL, it feels phenomenally well in hand. You've got contoured micarta, nice and smooth, feels great in the hand. Big hands are going to love this knife, and average sized hands I think will still really enjoy it as well. Very fidgety in my opinion, very fundamental finger flick, as well as thumb flick. So it's just a great big blade. And at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's a knife that I would highly recommend. Like I said before, as you guys know in this series, all these knives are coming from my personal collection. So it's not just something for content. It is for content, but it's also, these are all knives that I personally own and keep in the collection because I like them. So I would recommend all of them. Just picking them for fun and for content. But when you get to the Vosted Gator, it's just a little better in my opinion. I like the ergos a little more because the handle isn't quite as wide. Still got that nice thickness. Love the choil area a little more than the Sheepdog, just because again it's just a little more narrow. It feels a little more natural in my hand. A blade that's actually just a tad, and I mean just a ever so bit tad slicier than the Sheepdog XL. We are looking at, I believe, 14C, 14C 28N on this guy, and 154 cm on the Sheepdog XL. And this just basically has more fidget factor as well. Very nice to middle finger flick. Very, very enjoyable to front flip. And of course, you can do your flicking and all that good stuff. Fidget bliss, big knife, big hands love it. I think just about anyone would love this knife. It is fantastic. And the Vosted Gator, I would take over the Kaiser Sheepdog XL Vanguard version. Now, next up, we talked about the Sheepdog XL. Let's talk about just the regular Kaiser Sheepdog. And let's compare that with another Kaiser. Let's take this to the Kaiser Tauser K. What we have here are two phenomenal mid-size, kind of medium to larger size EDC knives. Both liner locks, both thumb studs, both 154 cm. Very, very similar materials. And this really just comes down to aesthetics and deployment preferences between thumb studs and blade cutouts. As much as I love the action on this Tauser K, because it really is a guillotine, super smooth, does feel really good in hand, super slicey blade, nothing wrong with it. You guys know how much I love the Sheepdog series. I do prefer the Sheepdog in this case. I really love the clip of the Sheepdog. It's one of my favorite clips on a budget knife ever. It looks great, works great. Feels very minimal in hand. You almost don't feel it at all. Nice slicey blade that's still somewhat compact, not too big, but wide and strong on the Sheepdog, and just feels great, looks great. You really cannot go wrong with the Sheepdog, in my opinion. So good, regardless of how you want to deploy it. Very fidgety, very nice. The Kaiser Sheepdog edges out the Kaiser Tauser K. This was kind of a tough decision, but I'm so accustomed, and I just appreciate the Sheepdog series so much. I do prefer it over that Tauser K. Let's get small. Let's take a look at a couple small knives here. These are two of my favorite small knives currently available. Oh, wow. The action is so much better than that. Let's just, boom, right there. The CIVSO exclusive QSP Mini Penguin. You got all sorts of flavors of these guys going up against a very strong competitor in the Savivi Baby Banter. The Baby Banter has ergos that, in my opinion, really can't be beat by any small knife. It just feels so good. Very compact, very slicey. Middle finger flicking these thumb studs is very nice, very easy. Every once in a while, I do have a little issue kicking the thumb stud out with just the thumb. And I think some of it is just like the overall just placement of everything. And I don't, this is not a knife that I carry every single day. So yeah, it's good. The action's great on it, but it's not like best thumb stud placement in the world, in my opinion, but still pretty good. Now, I do like the thumb stud placement on the Mini Penguin considerably more, especially with that nice milled titanium clip. Just very easy to flick that out, even though I completely botched it on the first flip as I brought the knife out. But just a very nice, versatile blade that Wharncliffe is great for the draw cuts and any type of utility cuts. It's very handy. This feels good in hand. This is no slouch in the ergos department for a small knife. You do have a very solid grip, and I like that. But at the end of the day, when you're comparing it, especially like the prices, and again, the prices don't fully factor, but again, we're just going off how I look at these and why I prefer them. For $100, this is a great knife. But for $59.50, this is a phenomenal stinking knife. It's very hard to beat for that price, especially when you combine it with these ergos and this slicey Nitro V blade. Yeah, it is a winner all day in my books. And that's not to discredit the Mini Penguin. It is really good, and this is actually it is considerably lighter than the Savivi Banter. So if weight is a real big thing for you, I think you would definitely want to take a really hard look at the CIVSO Mini Penguin, especially this carbon fiber variant. Is stupid light. Feels very nice in hand, and very good action. So yeah, very solid offering, but in this battle, I'm going with the Baby Banner. I like it too much to pick against it in this pairing, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. Let me know what you think, though. Let me know, of course. Let me know what you think about any of these picks, guys. Like, I want to hear what you think just as much as what I think, because that's the fun part about this channel. Moving on, the hardest decision in this list is right here, and these knives are actually extremely similar. We have the Kubi Momentum, which I still think is one of the most underrated budget knives in the past 5 years, and the Savivi Synergy. Now, first of all, let's take a look at these from an aesthetic standpoint. They're pretty different. Different handle shapes, different blade shapes, similar blade lengths, but very different aesthetics. But then you also have very similar deployment methods, extremely similar deployment methods with the front flipper and the thumb studs. This is one that is very hard, because the thumb stud on the Momentum is phenomenal. The thumb stud on the Synergy is phenomenal. The front flipper on the Synergy is, of course, fantastic because it's a Laconico design. He just knows how to do it. The jimping, I really wish, this is one spot where the Momentum takes a bit of an edge, because I really wish the jimping on the Synergy was like the jimping on the Momentum. That is perfect jimping, which makes for effortless, enjoyable deployment. But then there's the Ray Laconico effect. Now, Again, Sharif Manganas himself is a fantastic designer. I think he's a great dude and just does phenomenal work. But I think everybody knows, you know, I'm a huge Ray Laconico fan, so this really does stand out to me a lot. But man, oh man, from a design standpoint, the only part where I get thrown off a little when it comes to choosing aesthetically between these two is I obviously like the pivot of the Savivi knife a lot more than the Kubi. You know, less branding on the blade. We have to really nitpick. I do love the fully contoured handles of the Synergy. That also gives a slight edge to the Synergy over the Momentum. But yeah, this is a very hard one to call. And man, I'm literally, I don't pre-write these guys, so I'm kind of just going on a wing too to give you my true gut feeling. Man, oh man. I think I'm going to go with the Synergy by a hair. I like the 14C28N a lot better than the AUS 10. The price is about the same if you compare the steel. This one here is, I want to say like 69 or 70 bucks. For the AUS 10, you can get D2 for a lot less. But I definitely prefer the AUS 10. But this 14C for $59.50, I think $59 is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, the Synergy just barely edges out this Momentum. Again though, man, this was a hard one. This one was almost not even fair, to be honest, because they're so similar. It's pure opinion here, but the Synergy ever so barely edges out the Momentum, and let's move on before I change my mind, because that one was really hard. Next up here, we have a couple button locks. We have the Vosteed Raccoon going up against the Savivi Altus. Again, two button locks that the moment they came out, they were very popular. I do think the Raccoon, in terms of popularity, probably does edge out the Altus by a hair, because this was a ridiculously good price. I want to say this was like $45 or $49, maybe $59. It was very affordable. Excellent ergos. Love that choilish area up here. Stupid slicey blade. Very smooth button lock action that is just very enjoyable. Deep, bent over clip. Not true deep carry, but one of the weaker points of the knife, but at the end of the day, a very strong design that looks great, very affordable. Kind of hard to get right now, but again, we're not judging it off availability. The Raccoon is fantastic. The Altus is such a good knife, but there's always just a few things. The middle finger flick is too good on this. Ergos are great. Blade looks fantastic, but the handle is just a little small for me. Little small. But the action's fantastic. But yeah, I would go with the Raccoon in this one. It's slightly more affordable. The action is just as good, and I really prefer the ergos on the Raccoon over the ergos of the Altus. From a fidget standpoint, I think they're both very similar. I'd be very hard pressed to say one is better than the other in terms of action or fidget factor. They're both right up there. So Raccoon edges out the Altus, and just like that, we are to our last pairing in this video. And we have another Savivi versus another Kaiser, with the Synergy 3 versus the Kaiser Gemini. Now, the Gemini is a bit of an icon maybe in the Kaiser lineup, designed by Ray Laconico. Very smooth, kind of classy lines on it. Very smooth flipping action. Nice, fully recessed liner there that I think is gorgeous. It also has some beveling there, so it's a very enjoyable knife to operate in terms of deployment and closing. Very slicey blade. Just a very nice carry. Not a big fan of this clip though. The clip isn't great with me, and the ergos are just pretty good. They're not phenomenal, but they're pretty good. They're decent. They're good enough to where I don't have an issue with them. And of course, it's that Ray Laconico design. Looks excellent. But folks, we have an upset here, because I would go with the Savivi Synergy 3 over this Kaiser Gemini. for a few reasons. One, the blade is just as slicey. You have a very, very nice blade shape, and the ergos. The ergos are what really set this ahead for me, because you still have your recessed liner in the Synergy 3, making it very, very easy to close that blade. Flipper, I definitely prefer the flipper on the Synergy 3 over the flipper of the Kaiser Gemini. And lastly, like I said before, the ergos. Love this choilish area here, and all this kind of like 3D contouring, you know, fully contoured, nice shape. It just feels excellent in the hand. So I've said this before, I don't think people realize how much I like this Savivi Synergy 3. I'm a huge fan of this. If I didn't like the Synergy 3 so much, I would probably get the Wii Synergy, because that's really, really sweet. It's just more expensive, and it's an integral, to where integrals just don't do much for me. I mean, they're not, I have nothing against them. But when you can get this guy for like 90-ish bucks, with great steel that I believe is Nitro or 14C. What do we got here? And yeah, Nitro V steel, phenomenal flipping action, great ergos. It's just, it does it for me. It makes me happy enough to where I don't feel like I want the Wii Synergy, even though I have handled it. I have strongly considered buying it. I really, really love the Savivi Synergy 3. And it does beat a Ray Laconico designed Kaiser Gemini. So there you go, guys. There's an upset for this video. I don't think many of you were probably expecting that. But that's it. That's volume 3 of This or That. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want me to keep it going. And I may need some ideas from you, because I'm running out of knives to compare in my collection. So let me know what you think of this one, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.